The Kremlin has described a virtual summit between the US and Russian leaders as frank and businesslike. President Biden warned of severe economic consequences in the event of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. President Putin blamed provocative actions by Ukraine and NATO for the heightened tensions. A video has emerged showing senior Downing Street staff joking about holding a Christmas party in Number 10 a year ago, a party they continue to publicly deny ever happened. The video shows a mock Downing Street news conference hosted by the Prime Minister's then press secretary, Allegra Stratton. And a Saudi man suspected of involvement in the murder of the Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi has been arrested at a Paris airport. He faces extradition to Turkey. Mr. Khashoggi was a prominent critic of the Saudi regime and wrote for the Washington Post.
China has responded sharply to the U.S. announcement that it's imposing a diplomatic boycott of the upcoming Beijing Olympics and Paralympics. China's foreign ministry has threatened to retaliate with resolute countermeasures and warns the move could harm bilateral relations.
The United States must stop politicizing sports and attempting to obstruct the Beijing Winter Olympics. Failing to do so risks causing harm to bilateral dialogue and cooperation in important areas and on international issues.
The spokesperson called the boycott a violation of the principle of the Olympic Charter with regard to political neutrality. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki announced the boycott on Monday, citing China's human rights record. American athletes will compete, but no official delegation will be sent. Psaki cited China's ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity against Muslims and other minorities in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. U.S. lawmakers have been calling on President Joe Biden to take a stand. The disappearance of Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai from public view has also added pressure. Last month, Peng accused a former vice premier of sexual assault. She wasn't seen for weeks afterward. The International Olympic Committee said in a statement that it respects each government's decision. It also welcomed the decision to allow American athletes to compete. Meanwhile, Japan's government says it hasn't made any decisions about the Games, which open in February.
The Japanese government will make a decision on our own from the viewpoint of our national interests. The significance of Japan's diplomacy and the Olympics should be considered comprehensively.
The president of the Japanese Olympic Committee says he won't comment on the decisions of governments of other countries. Yamashita Yasuhiro says many countries and regions know they'll suffer if they decide to completely boycott the Games. Yamashita is a former Olympic gold medalist and missed out on the 1980 Moscow Games when Japan boycotted the event. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen met with Myanmar's military-appointed foreign minister on Tuesday. Cambodia's state-run media said Hun Sen will visit Myanmar next month, reportedly seeking ways to resolve Myanmar's continued absence from the region's summit meetings. Hun Sen had invited to Cambodia Myanmar's Una Maung Lwin, who was appointed foreign minister by the military after it seized power in February. During the meeting, Hun Sen was reportedly invited to Myanmar early next month by the country's military leader, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing. Since the coup, ASEAN member countries have refused to invite Myanmar's military leader to its summit meetings amid the junta's continuing crackdown on civilian protesters. Cambodia will assume the rotating ASEAN chairmanship for next year. Hun Sen apparently hopes next month's visit to Myanmar will lead to the countries again attending the meetings. Tuesday's meeting came a day after Myanmar's junta was criticized throughout the world for sentencing Myanmar's ousted de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi to a prison term. Washington responded sharply, calling her conviction a further affront to democracy.
We urge the regime to release Aung San Suu Kyi and all those unjustly detained, including other democratically elected officials.
In a statement, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Myanmar, Thomas Andrews, said Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Min are hostages, not criminals. He added that the international community must take stronger action to support the people of Myanmar by denying the junta revenue and weapons. Countries that manage the Pacific bluefin tuna have agreed to increase catch quotas. Next year, limits will be 15% higher in the Western and Central Pacific. Delegates of 26 countries and territories, including Japan, the United States, and island nations such as Papua New Guinea, met online. They said bluefin tuna stocks are showing signs of recovery and agreed to increase the catch quota of large bluefin. Japanese boats will be allowed to haul up 732 more tons of the fish next year. Bluefin is considered a luxury item, and it's a popular choice for sushi and sashimi. The fishing industry in Japan welcomed the news.
The larger quota will allow more fishers to catch bluefin tuna. I hope that will help them increase their incomes.
This is the first quota increase since current harvest restrictions were introduced in 2015. As the Omicron variant takes hold around the world, Japan is shoring up its medical system to counter a possible next wave. The health ministry says hospitals have the capacity to admit 37,000 COVID patients nationwide. That's about 10,000 more than before. Many COVID patients weren't hospitalized during the wave of infections last summer because of a severe shortage of beds. What's more, only about 68% of hospital beds for COVID patients were actually occupied due to a lack of frontline workers. The ministry is working to get that up to 82%. It plans to have medical workers at the ready who can be dispatched to hospitals experiencing staff shortages. This Tokyo hospital has managed to increase the number of beds for coronavirus patients, but there's a downside.
Because we're securing beds for coronavirus patients, it'll impact our ability to provide care to other patients.
Authorities are also stepping up vaccination efforts. Japan's health minister said he hopes to make booster shots available sooner. The current interval is 8 months in general. The government has so far only approved the Pfizer vaccine for booster shots. The health ministry is planning to decide as early as December 15th whether to approve the Moderna vaccine as well. On Tuesday, health authorities across Japan confirmed 115 new coronavirus cases and 2 deaths. Tokyo reported 19 new infections. A group of Japanese lawmakers has visited Tokyo's Yasukuni Shrine. The shrine honors Japan's war dead. Those remembered include leaders convicted of war crimes. Nearly 100 members of the group were seen on Tuesday. They include lawmakers of the main ruling Liberal Democratic Party. 9 are state ministers and parliamentary vice ministers from the Prime Minister's cabinet. The group regularly visits Yasukuni Shrine several times a year, but has not since October 2019 due to the pandemic. The members decided they could this time, considering the relatively stable coronavirus situation.
I prayed that our country, which is facing a national crisis due to the pandemic, will be protected.
Tuesday's visit drew a sharp response from Beijing. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian says China firmly opposes the visit, adding it once again reflects Japan's wrong attitude toward past aggressions. And South Korea's foreign ministry expressed deep concern. It says Yasukuni Shrine glorifies Japan's colonial past. Central government officials in Japan are pushing on with plans to move a U.S. military base within Okinawa. The prefecture has been trying to hold up landfill work, but the Defense Ministry has filed a motion to get its own way. U.S. Marine Corps Futenma Air Station sits in a densely populated area. The central government and Washington say relocating it within Okinawa is the only viable way of reducing the danger. The central government wants to solidify soft ground in the projected new site, Henoko, as part of land reclamation work, but officials in Okinawa rejected the plan last month for reasons including a lack of consideration to the local environment. On Tuesday, the Defense Ministry filed a motion with the Land and Infrastructure Minister to get the decision overruled. In response, Okinawa's governor remained resolute.
We will continue calling on the central government to seek a solution through dialogue based on democracy, and we will urge the governments of Japan and the US to remove the danger posed by Futenma Air Station as soon as possible, including a halt to operations.
Okinawa hosts about 70% of U.S. military facilities in Japan. The scale of the southwestern prefecture's burden has long been a controversial issue. Japan Meteorological Agency officials are reporting a flurry of seismic activity in southern areas. They say the Tokara Island chain has been hit by more than 200 earthquakes in just 4 days. They say the jolts started shortly after 12:30 p.m. on Saturday. There were 59 on Saturday, 87 on Sunday, 38 on Monday, and 22 as of 5:30 p.m. Tuesday. That's 206 in total. Their intensities range from 1 to 4 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. The officials say there have also been 24 minor earthquakes since Saturday in waters near the island of Izu Oshima, 120 kilometers south of central Tokyo. The officials say they've detected no changes in volcanic activity near the island, which is administered by the capital. Still, one expert who spoke to NHK says we should not think it's safe just because an eruption is not imminent or likely. Parts of Europe are dealing with frigid weather while others are dealing with a potent storm. Our meteorologist Sayaka Mori has a look at the situation in World Weather.
Hello there. We saw bone-chilly weather hitting parts of Scandinavia. Northern Sweden had a morning low of minus 43.8 degrees Celsius on Monday morning. That's the December record for the area and also the lowest December temperature for Sweden in decades. And we are also seeing low temperatures across other places of Scandinavia, but cold weather will slightly moving up towards the north for the next 3 days or so. Meanwhile, we have a storm system, very storm system, Bara, and also the attached cold frontal system, and it has caused wind gusts of 113 kilometers per hour. According to Meteo France, the central pressure dropped by 55 hectopascals in 24 hours, so it's a weather bomb. We will continue to see very stormy conditions across the British Isles, at least into Wednesday. Parts of the mountainous locations could see up to 20 centimeters of snowfall with gusts of nearly 120 kilometers per hour. Weather has been miserable across Hawaii for days. We saw drenching rainfall hitting the beaches and also mountain snow. Take a look at this footage from 2 places of Hawaii. There have been reports of up to 20 centimeters of snow below the summit of Mauna Kea, with gusts being reported up to 129 kilometers per hour at the peak. In Honolulu, about 100 millimeters of rain fell in 48 hours. Power outages have been reported. Weather officials have been warning of catastrophic flooding due to the persistent heavy rains. Some areas over Maui and the Big Island have seen over 300 millimeters of rainfall. It's nearly half of its annual rainfall for these places. Catastrophic flooding could occur at least into Tuesday. Rain is becoming heavy across central Japan, including Tokyo, because of a low-pressure system nearby. It will drag cold there, so the mountains will see snow, and Tokyo could see the coldest day of the season on Wednesday. That's it for me. Have a nice day.